Esther chapter 1. I'm going to read the first 9 verses. We're going to unpack it this morning. Here's Esther chapter 1, verse 9. Now in the days of Ahasuerus, the Ahasuerus who reigned from India to Ethiopia over 127 provinces. In those days when King Ahasuerus sat on his royal throne in Susa, the citadel, in the 3rd year of his reign, he gave a feast for all his officials and servants. The army of Persia and Media and the nobles and governors of the provinces were before him, while he showed the riches of his royal glory and the splendor and pomp of his greatness for many days, 180 days. And when these days were completed, the king gave for all the people present in Susa, the citadel, both great and small, a feast, lasting for 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. And there were white cotton curtains and violet hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rods and marble pillars, and also couches of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and precious stones. Drinks were served in golden vessels, vessels of different kinds, and the royal wine was lavish according to the bounty of the king. And drinking was according to this edict: there is no compulsion. For the king had given orders to all the staff of his palace to do as each man desired. Queen Vashti also gave a feast for the women in the palace that belonged to King Ahasuerus. This is the word of the Lord. God, we do thank you. We thank you for your word, particularly for this epic book that has found itself seated in human history, and yet we don't see a mention of your name at all in these chapters. So God, what we're asking for today is that your Spirit would open our eyes to see you in the midst of it. We'd have eyes to see you. We'd have eyes to see who you are. And then from that, be able to understand who we are and how we fit into this grand, epic narrative story of human history you've given us. Speak to us today through your Spirit. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. You may be seated. As you're seated on the screen right now are scriptures I'm going to use this morning. I'm going to stay in Esther 1 because there's 22 verses we need to cover. I will reference some of the other ones, and we're going to get to Hebrews eventually. But just so you can see, I'm not making it up. It's coming from the Bible. When I reference different places, I want you to see where all of that is. We're in this study of Esther. It'll be 11 weeks. We're in week 3. And it's going to take a bit from us because this is in the historical part of the Bible. Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther are all seated in actual human history. They're ripped right from the pages of your history textbooks. It's all in there. But it's also a narrative. And so narrative requires something different of us. It requires us to use our imagination. It's going to require us to see things and hear things and smell things, to put ourselves here, almost like you would if you're watching a movie. So our approach for the book of Esther is going to be to handle this like a lot like a movie. So in week 1, I gave you the prequel, and so a lot of you fell asleep, which is fine, but it's the way you're going to miss out. This is the way to get us here to Esther. Long story short, the people of God went from being Hebrews, because that was the language they spoke, to be called Israelites, because they were founded by Israel and in an area called Israel. They were then taken into exile a number of times out of Israel and into other places, Babylon, Assyria, and now we find them in Persia. And while they're here, while they're in exile, they went from being called Hebrews and Israelites to now being called Jews, because they're not a people with a place anymore, but they are people with a God, a people with a faith. And so faith-based people in exile still maintain their identity. And so they are Jews, but they're in exile. They've been taken out of the promised land, the land called Canaan, the low, humble place. And so where we pick up now, in the late 480s BC, or early 480s BC, is we find them under Persian occupation. The great Persian Empire has taken over, and 50 to 55 years before Esther is written, the king of Persia has told the Jews they can go back now to Jerusalem. In fact, he wants them to go back. That God told him to send them back, because they're going to rebuild the temple, a place of worship for God, which is what Ezra and Nehemiah focus on. Esther, we find situated somewhere in the book of Ezra, is where we pick up at this point. Then last week, Brian gave an incredible sermon where he skipped the rock across the entire book of Esther, which was pretty phenomenal to be able to do that. It would take me 3.5 hours to do that. He did that much quicker than I did. I just want to say, I want to celebrate Brian, first of all. He's such a gift to us. Yeah, we can celebrate that. Such a gift to be able to do what he does, have the heart and passion that he does. And now he's placed on me the responsibility of filling in all the gaps. And so that's what I'm going to do here today. Anybody have a particular smell in your house? Not like a bad smell, but a smell you like that feels like home? Do you have like candles? Anybody have a particular candle that you like, a smell that you like? All right. How about laundry detergent? Are you particular about your laundry detergent at all? All right, we're weirdly particular about our smells and laundry detergent. The kind that we like, you have to pair it with another kind of fabric softener that we like, and the combination of those two scents is what you smell when you hug us. That's the smell, mostly, except for when my boys are teenagers, and that's not our house that you smell. That's just puberty that you smell right there. So we like that, and I remember a few years ago, a football team, I think it was my nephew, was doing a fundraiser to buy laundry detergent. And it said, this one is just like the one that we buy. And we're like, we're going to support the team. We will buy a 5-gallon bucket of that laundry detergent. And at first we were like, it's not bad. 9 months later, we were like, that's not our smell at all. It does not smell like us at all. It's an imitation, it's a knockoff, it's trying to smell like us, but it really doesn't. What we're going to see this morning is that the book of Esther is going to take us on a journey. And we've been hardwired as humans, according to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, to have eternity in our hearts. So I want you to think about that we have the smell of home in us. We know what home, eternity smells like. And then throughout the course of our lives, we're going to be asked to buy 5-gallon buckets of imitation detergent. We're going to be asked to consider this instead. That's close. And because it's close, we're going to be tempted to buy in to whatever that is that's being offered to us. That's all going to happen here in Esther chapter 1. We're going to approach this like a movie. I did the prequel. Brian did the epilogue. Today's episode is called The Empire. If I was a Star Wars fan, it'd be really cool, but I have no idea what that means to Star Wars people, but this is the Empire. Maybe it'll strike back. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So we've got this period for the Israelites. They've been in exile. The Persian king has been able to send them back home, but a number of them have not returned back home. And so here's what's going to happen. We're going to get the establishing shot of the movie. So for me, I go back to Full House. The TGIF, man, Full House. And you've got the drone shot of San Francisco. You see the bridge and then up the windy streets, and then you focus on their house. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you start TV, the establishing shot. This is where we are. All right. The first few verses of chapter 1 are going to give us our establishing shot. So I'm going to ask you to use your imagination. I want you to picture this happening. This is going to set the groundwork, this setting for us in a narrative like Esther. The setting, plot, and characters are crucially important to us. And so right now, we're going to get the setting. So again, use your sanctified imagination, dream a little bit, see it in your mind's eye. I'll have some pictures to help us as we get to it. But the setting has purpose. We cannot neglect what's being set up here. Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Now in the days of Ahasuerus, the Ahasuerus who reigned from India to Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. Some of your translations there say Xerxes instead of Ahasuerus. Xerxes is the Greek name. Ahasuerus is the Hebrew name. This is Ahasuerus, who is Xerxes 300. This is Sparta, all of that. In those days, when King Ahasuerus sat on his royal throne in Susa, the citadel. So here's what I want you to picture. We're getting the flyover drone shot of the entire Persian Empire. So we have a map to show you. This is massive, man. It's massive. So we're in outer space, we're zooming in, and we see this Persian Empire. Spans, we learn, from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces, all of them. Now, one of the trademarks of the Persian Empire is that they allowed provinces to act as provinces. They're not trying to get Ethiopians to act Persian, they just want them to be Persian as Ethiopians. Bring on your traditions, bring on your aesthetics and your way of life and the way you dress, but you're going to be ruled under the Persian Empire. So they're okay with that. So as you're zooming by, you're seeing different people groups and different foods and flavors and dress. You're seeing all of that as we fly by. But then he says, we're going to zoom in now on Susa, the citadel. This is an actual picture of what they've uncovered in Susa. It says the citadel. Now, we don't use the word citadel a lot unless you're playing an FCS team, but the citadel is a fortress. So think castle, but for Persia, this is the winter fortress. This is where the king would reside during the winter. So the picture here is fortress, thick walls, high walls, nooks and crannies. I want you to picture weapons and artillery, stormtroopers walking in and out. Military walking, carrying any kind of artillery they have. Horses, all of that. Susa, the citadel. So we've now got the establishing shot of the immense size of the empire, and we're zooming in now to the headquarters of the empire. So I want you to take stock of what are you feeling? What does this look like? What are your expectations? Looks like we're stepping into some kind of military movie, some kind of power and pomp and circumstance. All of that is just all wrapped up in the first two verses. And we hear of a king. And this king whose name is Ahasuerus. Hebrew, that translates to mean the ruler of kings. We see him on his throne. And this king has power. 127 provinces worth of power, from India to Ethiopia kind of power, thick, high walls of a fortress kind of power, weapons and artillery and military men kind of power, this kind of power. He's seated on his throne in the winter in Susa, the citadel, this ruler of kings. He would call himself the king of all the earth, the king of the seas and the skies. This is Xerxes or Ahasuerus. Verse 3, in the third year of his reign, which seats us right in human history, 483 BC. Because we know when Xerxes took over, so the third year would have been 483 BC. And in the third year of his reign, 483 BC, he gives a feast for all his officials and servants. The army of Persia and Media and the nobles and governors of the provinces were before him. How many provinces? 127. So how big is Susa, the citadel? Big enough to hold the military leaders and the armies of 127 different provinces. And they've all come to Susa, the capital, the citadel, the fortress, for a feast. And you're like, man, I wonder what the feast is for. Well, let's keep reading. He showed the riches of his royal glory and splendor and pomp of his greatness for many days. Well, how many days? 180 days. All of this was to show off the riches of his royal glory, the splendor and pomp of his greatness. It would take me 180 seconds to show off all of that I have. So what we're getting a picture of is, golly, man, it's a 6-month tour around the citadel. It takes 6 months for Ahasuerus to be able to show off how powerful he is, how wealthy he is. And he's brought all the governors and nobles and military leaders, all of the armies. And you want to know why them? Shouldn't they be in their provinces? Well, here's what history tells us, that a year later, King Xerxes, Ahasuerus, would begin a 4-year invasion of Greece. So he hasn't gathered them just for a feast. He's gathered them to gain support. He's gathered them to tell them his plan. Here's what I'm going to do, and I need you with me. If they're like, man, I just don't know if we can do it. Look around. Look around, Indian governor. Yeah. Look around, Ethiopian general. Can we do it? Yes. Look at this. Look what I have. You know where all this came from? Other conquests. Yeah, I've conquered everywhere else. I have conquered all of the known world. The last thing we need is Greece. Can we do it? We can do it. So I need you on board. I have all of this power and all of this prosperity. Can you imagine your province with this? Because we're going to get it from Greece. I'm going to hand some of this to you, and you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car, and I'm going to Oprah everyone. You're going to get everything. I just need you in with me. It's going to be a journey, but I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Spent 6 months whining and dining, giving military vision for what it is that's about to happen. On the human side, I want you to begin to think through Ahasuerus' stress level. He's invading Greece because he wants to avenge for his father's death. And he needs these people with him. He can't do it without him. He's going to do it without him, but he wants them with him. So he's spending 6 months trying to get people on his side, trying to cast vision, trying to market the power and prestige of the empire. In verse 5, when all these days were completed after the 180-day party for all the leaders, the military leaders, the king gave another party for all the people present in Susa, the citadel, the fortress, both great and small, young and old, rich and poor. He gave them a feast lasting for 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. Underline that setting, the court of the garden of the king's palace. We're going to come back to that because Ahasuerus comes back to that. So it's an outdoor venue now. This is like you just saw on Pinterest for your wedding board. It's an outdoor venue. There's trees. There's flowers everywhere. And so it's not just military leaders now. They got one more week left, and he invites everyone from the capital city, from Susa in. Come on. Come in. Come see, from great to small, rich to poor. Come in, come in, come in. He's casted the vision to the military leaders. Now he's going to let everybody come in to see what he has. And watch how it's described. Verse 6. There were white cotton curtains and violet hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rods. Not colored purple, metal. Silver rods, marble pillars, and couches of gold and silver. Probably not for comfort, I would imagine. But watch this. On a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, which I thought was a cuss word when I was little, and precious stones. That's a different story. And precious stones. Okay. How prosperous is the king? How prosperous is Persia? We sit on gold and we walk on precious stones. That's how prosperous. Like, we treat gold the way you treat cotton and linen. That's how prosperous we are. And he's invited everyone in to see it. I want you to come sit. Come sit on my gold couch. Come be here. Come look at the beautiful curtains and the beauty and the pageantry. Verse 7, and drinks were served in golden vessels, vessels of different kinds. This isn't red Solo cups. It's not styrofoam. It's not whatever we had in the pantry. 127 provinces worth of army, military leaders, governors, officials, and nobles. And then the entire town of Susa, all coming to a party for a week, and he has enough custom-made gold cups for everybody. I don't know what kind of parties you throw, but you're not doing that. There's no way. So they're all drinking out of custom gold cups, and the royal wine was lavished according to the bounty of the king. Not box wine, not gas station wine, royal, the best wine was lavished. What a word, isn't it? Lavished. Don't you feel what that means? Lavished, poured out. According to, watch how the author describes it, the bounty of the king. Hey, you want to know why you can have all the wine you want? Because I conquered everyone. Conquered everyone. So come get your gold custom cup. Come stop by the winery. Let's fill up your cups. Well, how much can we drink is the question. Well, drinking was according to this edict. However much you want. There's no compulsion. You don't want any? That's fine. We got soda water. That's fine. You can have that. But if you want wine, have all you want. We will never run out. That's how prosperous the empire is. That's how powerful we are. We have everything you could ever want. You see, the king had given orders to all the staff of his palace to do as each man desires. It feels a lot like Chick-fil-A. It's my pleasure. Have whatever you want. It's my pleasure. So picture this scene. Take yourself there. We've flown over the immense, huge empire. We've seen the fortress. We've seen the throne. We've seen the power and the military leaders. We've seen the weapons. We've seen all of it. And now we're seeing this massive week-long kegger. And we're seeing it all. But what we're seeing are the rich and the poor together enjoying it. There are people in the citadel who haven't eaten for a month, who are going to eat a year's worth of food in a week. I want you to picture little kids running around with ice cream sundaes as big as their face. People who don't have a roof over their heads lounging on gold couches. He's built this up for them. He's invited all of them in. It's joy and laughter. It's a king who's not just powerful and prosperous, but man, he's generous, isn't he? Like from the greatest to the least, the richest to the poorest, everyone, come feast on what I've won for you. But this isn't about his generosity. This is about him trying to woo his favor. This is about persuasion. If the 6-month party was about Persia's power, the week-long party is about their prosperity. If the 6-month party is about the king's authority, this one's about the king's generosity. But they're both about persuasion. They're both trying to convince you, you can trust me. I've got everything you'd ever want. It's going to be hard for a few months. I want you to remember, this is all mine, and what's mine is yours. You can have it all. And then we get a twist. Verse 9, it's subtle. Queen Vashti, that's Ahasuerus' wife, also gave a feast for the women. So there's a frat party, I guess, in the garden, and a sorority party. Maybe it's a Tupperware Mary Kay party over here for the women. And it's in the palace that belonged to King Ahasuerus. Whose palace is it? Oh, it's the king's. Don't forget. He's allowing her to host her party there. Now, the assumption from the king is, man, we've been drinking a lot. We've had wine. We've had a chocolate fountain. We've had the open bar. It's been a blast over here. I bet the women are having the same kind of party. Because verse 10, on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, which is a very biblical way of saying he was drunk out of his mind, this wasted, power-hungry, insecure king, that's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? You met people like that? Drunk, and he calls out to his eunuchs. He commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass. If you're looking for kids' names, there's a list right there, which I think they'll never have another one in their class. There's 2 Bigthas in here? What's your middle name? Like, well, who are these people? They're the 7 eunuchs who served in the presence of King Ahasuerus. Like, well, who's a eunuch? Well, ask your mom and dad. They'll tell you what a eunuch is. I'll tell you. I'm going to use medical language. A eunuch is a male who's been castrated. You're like, well, what's castrated? Ask your mom and dad, and they will explain that to you. They've lost male anatomy, male genitalia. Now, some are born, right, with some kind of birth defect. Some have chosen this because the belief was as the opera is coming on the scene and singers, that to allow a boy to sing in a tenor or a soprano gave him great value in the opera. So parents would unicize their young boys. But often these are people who have been forced into becoming eunuchs because they had some other deformity, because they broke the law, because they were impoverished and they could get to the king's court if they would just have this one surgery. So here's what I want you to understand of what's happening here. This king who has all power and prosperity takes advantage of people. Takes advantage of people. And a eunuch found great favor for kings because a eunuch couldn't mess with the king's wife or his daughters. And kings like that. So they would place the eunuchs over the household or over his harem. Ask your mom and dad. So you've got these eunuchs, and the king says, hey, I've got a great idea, guys. Listen, we've been having fun out here in the garden. I hear Vashti's having a good time selling Tupperware. So why don't we bring the 2 things together? He commanded them to bring Queen Vashti before the king with her royal crown in order to show the peoples and the princes her beauty, for she was lovely to look at. Which sounds like, gosh, man, what a man, you know? Just proud of how beautiful his wife is. Like, wouldn't you want to show her off from time to time? Until you realize he said to only wear her crown. Are we good? What he wants to show is, yeah, I've conquered 127 provinces. I've got all of this. It's the chocolate fountain. It's the open bar. I've got all the wine you could want. But you know what my greatest conquest is? This beautiful woman. and I want you to see how powerful I am. All his boys are like, yeah, let's go, Xerxes, let's see her. Bring her out, which I think is a rap song. So they go to get her. Hey, the king wants you. What should I wear? Just the crown. Verse 12, but Queen Vashti refused. No, I'm not doing that. He's drunk again, isn't he? No, I'm not doing that. She refused to come to the king's command delivered by the eunuchs. Now listen, you're going to be tempted to want to celebrate Vashti, women power, women's rights. Fine. That's not what Esther's about. You're going to be tempted to moralize the characters in here. We can't do that. Don't be distracted by the players. Be distracted by the King of Kings. Let's focus our eyes there. For some reason, Vashti says no. And at this, the king became enraged, and his anger burned within him. He wants to show off his wife. She sees right through it and says no, and he becomes angry with hot rage. You ever felt that before? Now, hot rage on top of alcohol, that's a problem. This king who had the power over 127 provinces. Look how big my empire is. Look at what I can control over. Come, all of you. Come sit on my gold couches. Come drink all of my wine. Look at me. Look at my power and prosperity. Only to find out, to take the old fable's words, the king has no clothes. Because his wife says, no, I'm not doing that. And what kind of a king can't control his wife? What kind of a king can't run his household? This king who takes advantage of the broken, more power and prosperity than anyone in the world, has been told no by his wife in front of his boys. He's not going to stand for it because he's trying to garner their support. No, you can trust me. I'm powerful. I'm going to conquer everything. You're going to conquer everything, Xerxes? Bro, your wife said no to you. You think the king of Greece is going to hand over land to you? You can't even control your own household. So everything he had built for 6 months comes crashing down in this one moment. And he loses his mind. And the king said to the wise men, not the Christmas ones, these are actual wise men, who knew the times. This was the king's procedure towards all who were versed in law and judgment. So they're his lawyers, they're his team, right? They're his marketing team. The men next to him being Karshina, Zithar, Admatha, Tarshish, Maris, Marsina, and Memucan. Again, they're available. Name your kids. The 7 princes. How many princes? How many eunuchs? Man, that sounds biblical, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Oh, just wait. So he brings his team in. Hey, lawyers, what do I do? What is there for me to do? And here's what's wild. This king who wants to conquer Greece doesn't even know what to do about his wife. So he's got to call his lawyers in. How do we handle this? Here's his question. According to the law, what can I do to her? What's to be done to Vashti because she has not performed the command of King Ahasuerus delivered by the eunuchs? What can I do to this woman who has denied the royal decree of the king? You see the escalation here? This marital issue has become a legal issue. Power, huh? You got control? Ahasuerus? Then Memucan said in the presence of the king and the officials, listen, it's worse than you think. Not only against the king has Queen Vashti done wrong, but against all of us. Against all the officials and the peoples who are in the provinces of King Ahasuerus. Oh, that's right. They all belong to you, king. You're the powerful one. More escalation, not just marital, not just legal. This is an empire-wide issue now. Everyone saw it. All the governors and officials saw it. It says the queen's behavior is going to be made known to all men, all women. And they're all going to look at their husbands with contempt and say, well, Queen Vashti said no. So why can't I? I mean, you can understand she's opened Pandora's box. Listen, if this gets out, man, we've lost everything. Here's the real issue. This very day, the noble women of Persia and Media who have heard of the queen's behavior will say the same thing to all their husbands, the king's officials, and there will be contempt and wrath and plenty. You want to know what Memucan is? A king's official. You know what his problem is? Bro, if my wife says no to me, this is on you. It's on you. It became personal for him. No, and then listen, we got to handle this. So he has an idea, verse 19, if it pleases the king, let a royal order go out from him. Let it be written among the Jews of the Persians, or the laws of the Persians and Medes, so that it may not be repealed. Persian law can't be repealed. Once it's on the books, it's on the books. So make it a royal law that Vashti is never again to come before King Ahasuerus. Two things are crazy right now. First is, if this gets out, everyone's going to think they can say no to their husbands. Let's make it get out. I'll solve it. Let's just tell everyone. Which in today's terms is, let's get ahead of it. Let me tell my side of the story. You know what we should do, King? We should make it so Vashti can't ever come into your presence ever again. Which is wild, because Vashti doesn't want to be in his presence. Do you see how ridiculous this is? Do you see what power does to you? I'm going to punish you by giving you more of what you want. But then here's the kicker. But let the king give her royal position. Let him find a new queen who is better than she. That should read, who's more obedient than she was. More submissive than her. But again, remember the context. Ahasuerus has got to have their agreement. He's got to have everyone on board. A 6-month and 1 week party of trying to get everyone on board just fell flat because of his wife's denial of his request. So when the decree made by the king is proclaimed throughout all his kingdom, Memucan says, for it is vast, Ahasuerus, it's a big kingdom. All women will give honor to their husbands, high and low alike. Oh, will they? Husbands, let's say a law goes out that tells your wives to honor you. Is that going to go well at your house? You're going to reference that from time to time? I'm not. Because I'm not stupid. So the power of the king, right? Power, 127 provinces, vast empire, India to Ethiopia, all the wine, all the chocolate fountains, all of the ice cream. Now he thinks he can legislate the heart. Look how ridiculous this kingdom is becoming. It looked great in verses 1 through 9, but everything is falling apart. But this advice pleased the king and the princes, and the king did as Memucan proposed. Well, I thought the king was in charge. Oh, Memucan's in charge. He sent letters to all the royal provinces, every province in its own script, every people its own language, that every man should be a master in his own household and speak according to the language of his people. Now listen, this whole chapter is setting up where the book is going. And the setting for us is crucially important to understand what's actually going on. What's revealing to us is where the issues are going to come from. Persian Empire is this setting of God's undercover work to save his people. I can't even over-exaggerate how important Esther is. Let me say it this way. If there's no Esther, there's no Jesus. That's how important this book is. If Esther doesn't do what she does, we don't have a Messiah. It's crucial. And the setting is the Persian Empire. And here's what we know about the empire in just 22 sentences. First is that it's huge. 127 provinces from India to Ethiopia, the most powerful empire the known world has ever known at this point. And it includes Jerusalem, the religious center of the Jews. So even to return to Jerusalem is still to be under Persian rule. Secondly, the empire is powerful, all powerful. Look at the size of the army. Look at the huge citadel. They've just conquered Babylon, the reigning world champ. They just conquered Babylon. And they got plans to invade Greece. You got the most powerful king on the earth. Thirdly, the empire is prosperous. It's beautiful. Has everything your heart could ever want. They've partied for 6 months and a week, and they still have more to go. People lack nothing. The best food, the best drinks, the best art, the best clothes, the best music. But under all of that, we've learned in the second half of the chapter, under that power and prosperity is a problem. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It has oversold and under-delivered. So we need to back up a second and just understand the Persian Empire fits in line with all the other empires of the Bible. Egypt and Assyria, Babylon, Persia, into Greece, and Rome. They're all called empires. They're all known for their reigning and ruling, for their power and prosperity. And this is not allegorical, this is historical. You know the phrase, history repeats itself? History repeats itself. Every time an empire gets outside of the bounds of the King of Kings, we find this issue. Every single time. Every time. So Persia is just another Egypt. It's just another Babylon. It's another Greece or another Rome. It just has a different name. They all overpromise and underdeliver. They're full of perceived power and prosperity, but it's just a mirage in the wilderness. And with every empire, it takes one embarrassing moment like this for those who have eyes to see to understand, oh, that's who you are. But we have to have eyes to see it. What I love about the Bible is not just that it happened, but that it happens. That's why Paul calls it living and active. Which means there's still Persias today. There's still Babylons today. That Esther is not just telling the story of Persia. Esther is telling the story of every human empire that tries to take the people, the covenant people of God, into exile. It's every empire that promises to deliver on what only God can give to his people: peace and power and prosperity. But the thing is, we are all, as humans, drawn to empire. Humanity has always been drawn to empire. All the way back to Genesis chapter 3, humanity would rather be king than be with the king. We'd rather be like God than to be with God. And that same desire gets us to Genesis 11, where they're building a Tower of Babel to conquer the heavens, to get to the heavens. We want to be God instead of just being with God. And God in his grace comes down and disperses them and calls them Babel, or confusion. Babel will become Babylon. And then Egypt, and then Assyria, then Babylon again, then Persia, and Greece, and Rome, and Russia, and Germany, and China, and you're going to hate this, the United States of America. I love it. Thankful to be an American. But we have to understand it's a world empire. An empire always comes in conflict with kingdom. Always. It always will. No matter who's the president, no matter what party is in charge, it will. So why? Why does it keep happening? Why do Christians love empires so much? According to Ecclesiastes 3:11, we have eternity in our hearts, which means empire smells a lot like kingdom. It smells a lot like home. And we get a whiff of it, and it smells like what we want. We have an innate desire for eternity. We have an innate desire for the promises of a new kingdom. It's why from birth humans long for beauty and order. It's why babies are drawn to sparkly things and shiny things and beautiful things. It's why math works and why flowers are pretty and why we love an underdog story. It's why we love college football. It's why we love good music and why we love good drink and good food. It's why we love a good movie and a good TV series. It's why music moves us. It's hardwired into us to desire the things of the kingdom. And all of those things are things of the kingdom. Beauty and order and music. It's all things of the kingdom. But listen, if you're going to go back, I don't have time. If you go back to Esther and you read the description of the garden, but read it with the beat of the Bible in the background, it's going to sound a lot like the tabernacle from Exodus, the temple from 1st and 2nd Samuel, and the new heavens and the new earth from Revelation. Beauty, fine linen and cotton, walking on beautiful stones. Does that sound like anything to you? You want to know why the empire is so alluring to Christians? Because it smells a lot like the kingdom. Gosh, it looks a lot like it. Smells like it. Maybe it isn't. Maybe that's what we want. It's so alluring. And it looks like where you'd expect God to be. But here's what we're learning in Esther. It's not where God is reigning. It's not actually what you think it is. And that emperor you've placed your trust in, that king you've placed all your hope in for power and prosperity and prestige, he's got no clothes on. He's a fool. And he can't get you what only the King of Kings can get you. So because we're drawn to empire, we promote countries and governments and corporations and social media stars and podcasters and influencers because they look like they have power and a hope of prosperity. And then they invite you in to see it. You want to see it? Come see. Oh, and we bite hard, don't we? Gosh, we bite hard. The next ruler, the next government official, the next head coach, yeah, this is the one. It's not the one. It's not the one. We bite hard when it promises those things. You want to know why you want that new house or to remodel your kitchen? Why you want a new car or that new pair of shoes? You want to know why Pinterest is $1 billion company? Because the empire smells a lot like the kingdom. It draws us right in. You want to know why social media works? You know why the algorithm always seems to get you? Because it smells like home. So we buy it, like 5 gallons worth, we buy it. Thinking it's going to be just like that. Until I can get there, I'm going to settle for this. But here's the problem with empire. It never delivers on its promises. The 6-month and 1 week long party always ends with a marital dispute that turns into a legal dispute that turns into a national issue because of a drunk, insecure king who isn't as powerful as he claims to be. How's that new house working out for you? You feel at peace now? That new truck? You still parking in the back of the parking lot so nobody scratches it? You still not letting the kids eat Chick-fil-A in there? You ready for a new one? How's your old phone? How's that marriage that was going to solve all your problems? How about that raise? How about that money? How about your financial independence? How about your retirement? It's all empire. It's a mirage. Promises you power and prosperity, but the king can't be what you need him to be. See, the whole human world is oriented to market the empire to us. Do you see it? It's everywhere. Billboards, commercials, social media, football, baseball. It's everywhere. And now it's seeped into the church where people are making decisions about churches, not based on the kingdom, but based on the empire. Which one's going to give me more power? Which one's going to make me more prosperous? Which one is going to give me what I want? Which one's going to meet my preferences? That's empire language, not kingdom language. See, the writer of Hebrews explores this. He's given a list of faithful people, and he's given the descendants of Abraham. And he says this in Hebrews 11:13. All these, Abraham and his descendants, they died in faith. They didn't receive the Messiah. They were looking forward to him. They saw him, greeted him from afar. They acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. Have you done that yet? Have you acknowledged you don't belong here? This is not your home. I know it smells like it, but it's not. It's a knockoff. It's an imitation. People who speak like that, who acknowledge that they are exiles and strangers, make it clear we're not home yet. I'm not settling here. But if they'd been thinking of that land from which they had gone out, their empire, they would have been able to go back. But as it is, verse 16, they desire a better country. That is a heavenly one. Are you there yet? You desire the heavenly one? Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God because he has prepared for them a city. It takes a lot of strength to live like exiles. It takes a lot of strength to say no to the empire because she's so alluring with all her beauty and power and prosperity, and the entire world is oriented around preaching to us the good news of the empire. But I need you to know the empire always fails. This is the Assyrian Empire. Babylonian Empire, Persian Empire, Roman Empire. You know what those are called? Ruins. Every single one. You know what Psalm 145 calls the kingdom? Eternal. There are no ruins in the kingdom of God. Not one. So listen, you can hitch your wagon To an empire, it will be ruins. I'm hitching mine to the kingdom that's eternal. That's the invitation. The invitation of Esther is, I know Persia looks pretty. Man, that Xerxes, have you seen his wife? Everything you could ever want. But it always ends up in ruins. But there's coming a day when the empire will bow the knee to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Everyone. The true King of Kings, the true Lord of heaven and earth. And here's what I need you to know about God. He will destroy your empire to get you to the kingdom. Even if that empire is your country. He will. Because where we've bowed the knee to the empire, he sees our souls dying and rotting. And he wants us to come back to the kingdom. So here's the invitation, is to choose kingdom over empire today. To choose spiritual power over political power. They can have it. I want the spirit. I want spiritual power. You can have the shiplap. You can have all the reign and rule you want. I want the king. And I want his spirit in me. I want it to change the way I see the world. I want it to change the way I see my wife and my kids and my church and my neighbors and the ball fields. They can have all of that. I want the spirit. I'm inviting you to choose your soul over the world. You can gain the whole world. You're going to lose your soul. I'd rather you lose the world and keep your soul. What's sad is that some of us are kingdom people on Sundays and empire people the rest of the week, and it breaks my heart as a pastor. It pains me to watch it happen. Because you'll bow the knee and raise the hand to the King of Kings on Sunday, but it's to the empire Monday through Saturday, and it's killing you, isn't it? Take a deep breath. It's killing you. Wearing on your marriage, it's wearing on your kids, it's wearing on your job. It's making you power hungry and judgmental and arrogant, and the hot anger of Ahasuerus, the hot anger of insecurity is right around the corner, and you're about to do something stupid. So what we need to do is pay attention to our own souls. Here's what I want you to recognize. The draw to the empire is a good, godly draw. It just can't stop there. It has to go to the kingdom. It's right to want beauty and order, prosperity and hope and comfort and joy. Those are good and right things, but they're only found through the finished work of Jesus. That's it. And while you're wasting your energy and your time and your days and your social media and your YouTubing and your news watching, while you're wasting that on the empire, your soul is shriveling and dying. And the promise of Esther is that there's a God who works in the empire. And the king is still on the throne. And he's offered you a way back to Jerusalem in the midst of the empire. That's the invitation today. Is to look for the bigger, better kingdom. And I know right now, gosh, the empire looks pretty, doesn't she? And she's immediate, she's here now. But if you'll just hold on, if you'll just wait, I'm telling you the kingdom is better. The empire is a shadow, the kingdom is the substance. I just want to wrap up with this beautiful quote from a story from C.S. Lewis. It says, "It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong but too weak. You see, we're half-hearted creatures fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered to us. Like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea." You want to know why we're so enamored with the empire? Because we can't even imagine the beauty of the kingdom. But once you've tasted and seen it, that's all you want. And the Lord has allowed me to taste and see the reign and rule of God, and I want nothing less than that. And I'm not going to settle. And I don't want you to either. I remember growing up, I thought McDonald's cheeseburgers were the best thing on planet Earth. When we go to a cookout and my dad would grill out, I'm like, oh, grilled burgers? Dad, can you make it taste like a Big Mac? He's like, what? There came a point in my life where I began to understand, okay, that's better. And I want that same thing for you today. I want you to realize the Big Mac of the empire is nothing compared to the grilled burger of the kingdom. Stop salivating over the empire. Man, if you'll just wait, the kingdom is better. So maybe it's macro, right? Maybe it's for you, it's that like governmental, political stuff. But for most of us, it's a personal thing where you're pursuing empire. You've given your allegiance over to your job, over to something you think is going to provide you power and prosperity. How's that working out for you? And in God's grace, he's allowing you to fall flat on your face that you might come back to the kingdom. And there, I promise you, you'll find what the Jews call shalom, which is peace and wholeness. It's there to be had. The real thing. Do you bow your heads and close your eyes as we wrap up here this morning? I don't know where you find yourself, what empire has drawn your affection today, but I know it's the problem of the human heart and has been since the beginning of time. So none of us can sit here and say, no, never, not me. Yes, you. Yes, me. Even today. Even today. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? You probably won't do anything about it until you get to the end of the empire. Till you see the emperor's new clothes. And maybe some of you have. So now you got a real shot here. You got a real shot to pledge your allegiance to the kingdom today. So maybe you're here today and you've never been in the kingdom. You've never started to follow Jesus. And that's the invitation, is to say no to empire and yes to the kingdom. You've got a king who came down. Didn't try to get you to the citadel. He left the citadel to come to you. And he gave his life that you might have access to all that is his. The Bible calls that eternal life. If you would just believe that he is the king, and you'll submit to his authority, his power, and you will find a kind of spiritual prosperity you've never experienced before. So if that's you, you need to invite Jesus to be Lord of your life, to be the King of Kings in your life today. I would invite you to do that. In your chair, you can come up here if you want to. Have a conversation with somebody. I just want it to be clear to you today that there is a way out. Then for those of us who call ourselves Christians today, you just take a second to evaluate. Like if you're feeling frustrated and angry and critical, that's the heart of the empire, not the heart of the kingdom. The heart of the kingdom is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So how do you know? How do you know if you're stuck in empire? Do you have any of those? If not, then maybe you've given your allegiance to an empire. When the real King of Kings wants to give you all those things and more. I'm going to just ask you to repent of the empire way of life and instead be drawn to the beauty of the kingdom. God, we love you. I'm so thankful for your reign and rule in my life. Lord, I'm prone to wander. I feel it. I'm prone to leave the God I love, to leave kingdom for empire. I'm asking for help. For my brothers and sisters, asking for help for them too. But those things they've been chasing that they thought the empire could give them, will you allow them to crash and burn? That they might only find you there, the one who came down. Make us a kingdom people. Pray for the good, fight for the good of the empire because it points to the glory of the kingdom, not the other way around. And we see you as King, the only true King of Kings. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.